reassure, reassure, collateral, collateral, implosion, implosion, obviate, obviate, bailout, bailout, undoing, undoing, back to back, back to back, warplane, warplane, drone, drone, reaper, reaper, suspension, suspension. President Joe Biden sought on Monday to reassure markets and consumers that any collateral damage from the implosion of Silicon Valley Bank would be limited. As the government emphasized no taxpayer dollars would be used to clean up the mess, thus obviating any use of the word bailout, he also promised to hold responsible those behind the collapse of SVB, as well as Signature Bank, whose crypto industry ties may have led to its undoing. The biggest U.S. banks are seeing a rush of depositors after the back-to-back collapse of three smaller lenders. JP Morgan alone received billions of dollars in recent days. Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo are also seeing higher than usual volume, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Russian warplane collides with U.S. drone over Black Sea. A U.S. military official said that an American Reaper drone crashed in international waters. China reopens to foreign tourists, lifting COVID visa suspensions. Beijing says it will honor existing tourist visas and start issuing new ones. Venture-backed, venture-backed, securities, securities, run on the bank, run on the bank, fickle, fickle, depositor, depositor, laden, laden, incur, incur, vicious, vicious, befall, befall, meltdown, meltdown, contagion, contagion. If you had never heard of Silicon Valley Bank before this week, you likely have by now. SVB was home to cash belonging to half of all venture-backed startups in the US. So it came as a bit of a surprise when the bank suffered a $1.8 billion loss on securities sales and made plans to raise money by selling shares. Surprise turned into panic, which turned into a run on the bank. On Friday, SVB became the biggest U.S. bank to fail in more than a decade. But that's not all. Part of the problem was an unusually fickle depositor base. But perhaps the bigger issue, and the threat to the broader financial sector, was rising interest rates. Those rates have left banks laden with low-interest bonds that can't be sold in a hurry without incurring big losses. If too many customers want their cash, and a bank needs to sell bonds to pay up, it risks a vicious cycle like the one that befell SVB. California state regulators took possession of the lender, and some observers say the meltdown shouldn't pose a risk of contagion as long as depositors are made whole. Ancestry, ancestry, oddball, oddball, pull off, pull off, contender, contender, maverick, maverick, reactivate, reactivate, lapsed, lapsed, packed, packed, daylight saving time, daylight saving time. The Oscars are tomorrow night. A record number of actors of Asian ancestry were nominated for Oscars this year. Our award season expert Kyle Buchanan expects the oddball sci-fi film Everything Everywhere All at Once to pull off a sweep at the Academy Awards on Sunday and win the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, and Best Supporting Actor for Ke Huy Quan. Other contenders for Best Picture include Top Gun Maverick and All Quiet on the Western Front. The U.S. added 311,000 jobs last month, continuing a hotter-than-expected streak, but frustrating policymakers trying to contain inflation. Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to re-establish diplomatic ties in a deal brokered by China. After years of open hostility, the two countries announced that they would reactivate a lapsed security cooperation pact and that each would reopen an embassy in the other country. For most people in the US and Canada, this Sunday will be the shortest day of the year, as clocks jump ahead an hour and daylight saving time brings us brighter evenings.